Hello. How y'all doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
Great. Figure skating. I'm going to ask what came up with that name. That's what it,
So that's actually an interesting story. So when I was making this record, that was the only song that didn't have a title yet. And it originally released under the title Little Big Town for a while, and I was never really happy with it, and I had to do a remaster, like an emergency remaster of this record a couple months ago. Maybe it was like a month ago, because I had lost access to my old DistroKid account, so they brought everything down, and I was like, okay, well, I'll remaster it because the record didn't come out the way I wanted, and that title always nagged at me, so I wanted to rename it to something. And then at the end, I'm trying to remember the exact line, but I mentioned people skating, so I was like, figure skating, that should be the title of it.
it's a real soothing song.
I appreciate that. That's actually one of the only tracks that people never really mention. I find it interesting that you chose that one to play.
I'm a lot of people say they're not big on things other than their preference of music. Me, I like to give everything a chance because I know there's some kind of heart and soul that's been put in some of the music, you know, all the music that from artists that care about making music. And that's what gets me into the music, is just seeing the hard work and the dedication and the drive behind it. And listening to that album, and that's fairly new. That album, it came out this year, right?
The record originally came out last year. But
Okay.
I do a remaster.
That's a remaster?
But that's like a pretty... I changed a lot. I mean, the recordings are the same. It's the exact same recording, exact same songs, but I did a lot of changes sonically to them because I got the masters back from my friend who recorded it, BJ. We recorded it actually in his kitchen, so a lot of that reverb you hear is real reverb. We wanted to have like a real, almost like an acoustic private show kind of feel to it sonically. But it is a remaster, but I did change a lot of stuff about it, so...
Well, good choice on choosing the room, tone instead of trying to emulate it through like the synthetic software or something like that. I mean, I'm sure you did some mixing in there, but to get the raw tone, you can definitely tell in there.
And there's like a hum throughout the whole record. That's his fridge. And I made it louder because I loved it. I made the hum louder in the edit.
Well, guys, welcome to Local Riffs Season 2, Episode 10. We're here with Robin of Collections. We're also here with Fallon, the visual director of the band. We're going to get into it with them, ask them some questions about, what makes the band what they are, and obviously check out some of the visual effects and visual things that's been documented also of the band. Welcome. How's things going?
Great.
Yeah.
How are things in your camp?
Well, you kind of see it. We're here. It's been a very busy week for me. This is the second podcast I've done this week. Usually only try to hit one a week, but I like to stay true to my word, and people wanted to be on, so I made time to get them out here. Or I went to them, actually. I went to West Wego to talk with my buddy Phil out of Raise the Death Toll, super heavy band out of the New Orleans area. Good friends and stuff, but change the pace a little bit. You reached out, you booked the podcast, and here we are. I'm really stoked to do it. I like having a lot of different I guess approaches to music. I know all doesn't have to be heavy metal for me. I mean, either I do prefer heavy metal to listen to more than others, but I also like to take a break from that and kind of quieten it down some. If you want, you can start by just introducing yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about the band, where they're from and, what's going on with it.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Robin. Collections started out as a solo project under the name Missing Teeth until Jordan, who is our bassist, who I'll be mentioning a lot. Right now the band is me, Jordan, and Gonzo. Jordan plays bass and Gonzo plays drums. But Jordan was in another band at the time that I was actually opening for. He approached me after my set finished up, and he said he was really happy and really impressed with the music, and he asked me if I wanted to make it like a full-fledged band, and I said yeah, and he said, well, I know a drummer. And then here we are. We're now a 3-piece. Next to me, I have the wonderful, talented Fallon.
Hello.
Who has done all of the visual everything since back when it was still Missing Teeth, and even before it even had a name. So she's we've been friends for how long now?
Years.
Like 6 or 7
yeah,
years.
Something like that.
Yeah. So.
Well, that's good. It's good to have y'all both on. So this remaster of this album, I noticed it doesn't have any drums to the songs that I have listened to. I mean, am I correct on that?
Yeah, so that was recorded back when it was just me. It was originally under the name Missing Teeth.
Missing Teeth,
we branded it because we do play some of those songs live as a 3-piece. There's no bass either. It's literally just acoustic. And so.
And you wrote all of the music and lyrics for that. Yeah.
Yep. And Fallon did the art, the cover.
That's really nice. I was checking that out. I love artwork. And something like that I'd have that hanging up.
Thank
right
you.
there for sure. I mean, I really like it. I guess, I sent you a list of questions. Like I said, there's no pressure or anything. We're just going to be Cadillac, and a lot of people that do podcasts, they're like all stiff and stuff. Me, I kind of like have to get loose while we're doing it and stuff. And I don't want to say I really don't know what to say, because I know I sent you a whole list of questions and everything. But I guess tell us a little bit about, your inspirations, because I know you're in the band New Salem. I went and saw them, y'all, at I think that was NOLA Mix.
Yeah,
is that what it was?
Records, yeah.
And that was a very good show. Good sound, and y'all rocked it. I mean, it was pretty cool. I was actually blown away by a show there in the middle of the day that had such a good turnout like that.
Yeah, the turnout was way more than I thought it would be. Like,
and that was a very mixed bill too, as far as because I think Savast and Brax was on there also. Yeah. The other band, I can't remember. Low Hanging Fruit. That's who it was.
Another Tulane band.
I think I missed them, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, I think they played last.
Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. But what made y'all, like, in Collections? What made you I guess start that? Was you in that band before New Salem, or
yeah?
Okay.
So originally before I was anything, I was in this band called Atomic Broad, and we played one of our earliest shows. We played at the Neutral Ground back when that was in its old spot. I don't know if it's gone or if it's moved. I think it's just moved, right?
What is it?
It was a coffee shop. They did they did shows there. But Atomic Broad was a punk band that I played with, and one of the bands that opened for us was a band called Doghouse, where Brody was the guitarist and the writer for that band, and that's where I met Brody. Then I started doing Missing Teeth at the same time as Atomic Broad. Then I left Atomic Broad to focus more on Missing Teeth. And I called in Brody to play guitar for Missing Teeth for a really early lineup that never went anywhere because scheduling conflicts and all that. And then Brody had to leave the band to go back home in Pennsylvania for a while. And then when he came back, I had Collections as I know it now. And I really missed being a band with him, and they had a hard time getting a bassist. So I was like, for New Salem, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll do it, because New Salem was new at that time, and they had an issue getting a bassist, and I was like, oh, well, I'm interested. So
I think that works out really well from listening to Collections and New Salem. I guess just the style or the vibe of the music, because they both kind of mesh together. Like if you was to do a show, together.
Yeah.
It would be a very cohesive, artist bill or whatever.
Yeah, Birdie and I have a lot of the same influences, and we always show each other like early versions of songs all the time, and we're like, we're always just like sending each other stuff, even like little lyrical ideas, and we've been like that for a long time, even before we were in bands together.
So you play bass and the guitar, obviously. Which one do you like more?
Well, bass is newer to me. I played bass to, because originally I had no idea that I would, getting a band together was not something that like I expected to happen as quickly as it did. So I bought a bass so that for future projects, I thought it would still be me, but I wanted to do a more involved sound. So I bought a bass just so I could track my own bass. And then I didn't even have an amp when Birdie asked me to join New Salem, so I had to go get an amp. So I like guitar more, I think, but bass is something I've been getting into a lot, and a lot of my influences are like the Smiths and stuff like that in a bass direction. So it's fun to I play bass in a very sporadic kind of flying over the neck kind of way. So I don't know. I definitely play it very differently than I play guitar. So it's kind of the new fascination for me right now.
I think a lot of people that can play both, not a lot, but some of the people I see, you can almost kind of tell like they play both the same. And I think bass should be designated as its own instrument instead of like playing like a guitar, make it its own kind of thing. And I think that's what separates bass players from guitar players instead of just following the guitar riff or whatever like that. So I'll go kind of back to your influences, but we're gonna go influences for guitar and then bass.
Okay.
So what kind of influences and inspirations you've had to pick up the guitar?
Well, to pick up guitar, I picked up guitar when I was like 15, because I was browsing YouTube, and like I was a casual music fan, like I enjoyed music, but I didn't really necessarily want to be a musician. But my brother was a musician, so I did have an acoustic laying around. And I was just browsing YouTube, and I don't know how I stumbled across it, but I saw an old Pixies set live in London, 1988, and it like completely blew my mind.
That's some good times for like Pixies and stuff. That's
yeah,
really
it was
good.
like right when Surfer Rosa came out for them. So it was like mostly Surfer Rosa, Come On Pilgrim tracks, and like one or two. I think they played Hey or something from Doolittle, but I don't know. There's just something about it, and it was that at that moment I decided that I wanted to both play guitar and be a singer and write songs, because like obviously Black Francis plays the acoustic and he sings and he writes all the songs, so like there was that. But then we have Joey Santiago, who was just like I don't know, like even though it was on YouTube and it was compressed and I probably had the volume low, you could just tell by listening to that video how ear bleeding his his Paul tone was in for Joey Santiago. So it was just like, okay, this is like the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Well, Fallon, what you thinking about over there? You've been around for most of the time, all of the time with collections and stuff. How do you see the band? And we'll get back to your bass influences also. How do you see like how the band and how Robin's progressed in what he's been doing with collections?
For sure. It's been very interesting and honestly very satisfying seeing the growth of the band, because I'm familiar with it before it was even Missing Teeth. So seeing the evolution of songs that started with just a couple of lines and are now a fully fledged 3-piece band that's out playing shows, it's really gratifying knowing that I've been there the whole time and seen the growth. I'm very proud of it too.
Yeah, I saw you jamming before we went live to the little sound check. I like being a part of a band like that, like before it actually starts, flourishing into shows and stuff like that, and just seeing like how the groundwork's laid out and the foundation of how it starts. Does that affect your visual
for sure.
direction and stuff, like how they approach shows? And
yeah, well, honestly, for the cover of Goraphobia, the last album that Robin released under Missing Teeth at the time, I think it was the very first song I heard was Belle.
Yeah.
And that is what inspired the cover art for it.
It's the first one that I had written completely for the album.
Yeah.
I mean, there's two songs that I had lying around for a while, but like Belle was the first song where it's like, okay, I want to make a record, so I'm going to start making a record. So Belle was the first song I wrote.
Yeah, and a lot of times I'll hear like snippets or even sometimes full songs, and either imagery or even just the energy from it will inspire or create, artwork in my head that I want to put into the physical world.
So their music inspires you to do whatever you do for the band.
For sure.
I like that. And I can relate too, because when I go to shows and stuff and check out new music, and it's like, I guess, because I shoot a lot of lives and try to capture videos or whatever you want to call it. But I think we was talking about a little bit earlier. I try to capture that energy, that essence of whatever the vibe is, whether it be heavy metal or whatever, or soft listening or easy listening or just good music. A lot of times it's more of like a moving around kind of show and stuff. I like those coffee shop shows. I like to be able to kick back and enjoy the show, enjoy the music. I went to a blowout metal show, what was it, Tuesday, and that's probably the first time that the whole crowd was more into listening to the music instead of beating each other up. I mean, I was like, damn, there's no mosh pit for Swamp Grave, but everybody was so into, not missing, the show. That's how good the music was. But I can totally relate on, getting inspired by the music and doing whatever you do, especially like how you got the album artwork, and I'm sure you probably can just rip them out like that. Like if you get inspired, do another album cover or something. Or I would if I had a friend that painted or did artwork, I'd have it all over the place. Like, yo, fix me up another piece, man. Let's get back to your bass influences, because that can be kind of interesting to see what influenced you to get into bass playing.
The biggest one's probably Andy Rourke of the Smiths. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's he somehow like fills the role of being a bass player, but also is just dancing around. He's like keeping up with Johnny Marr in a lot of ways. That was a big one for me. Also Peter Hook of Joy Division was a big one for a lot of new wave. I was like, when it comes to bass, I think of like new wave a lot. A lot of those guys that were doing really melodic stuff. I'm really into like melodic bass playing. I mean, yeah, that was like the big ones for me. Obviously, like I love Primus. I love Les Claypool and stuff like that. I mean,
this is like the ultimate bass player,
right? Yeah. I mean, you can't not mention him.
Exactly.
But yeah, for the most part, like it's funny. Colin Greenwood of Radiohead's a huge one.
Oh yeah, for sure. He's got a really distinct style when it comes to playing bass too. It's like almost he takes a lead role in that band,
Yeah. For that Nola Mix show, we actually covered My Iron Lung, and I didn't realize until I was sitting down listening to the isolated bass tracks that there's like slap bass in that song, and I'm like, Colin Greenwood playing slap, and it's like a hard slap part too.
And I guess that's what we was kind of talking about a little bit earlier with bass, making it a little different than just following a guitar riff and stuff, kind of making the instrument your own. I find bass is actually a lot harder for me to play because I want to play, since I'm used to playing guitar, I want to play it like a guitar because I use the pick and everything with it. But here recently, I've had a few buddies, they've picked up bass guitars, and I've kind of like, like, as a matter of fact, one of my friends, James from Dead Set, he plays with a band called Fucked in the Head out of New Orleans, and he is 100% not a musician at all.
Yeah, I briefly played bass for Fucked in the Head.
Did you?
Very briefly.
Yeah, very briefly. I never ended up playing any shows with them, but it was like a sketch. I was gonna move to Texas, and then it didn't end up happening. But at the time, I was gonna play bass for them, and then it just didn't work out schedule wise. But I know those guys.
Yeah, Ben and Mike.
Yeah, I know Ben and Mike.
Real good dudes too.
Yeah,
man.
They're awesome guys.
They got a show tonight. As a matter of fact, I think it's at Babylon. Either that or the Goat. But he James was like totally not a musician, like, and he just had a bass guitar like that. I think his girlfriend's dad had let her have or something like that. Anyway, so he said, yeah, I'm New Orleans' worst bass player. I was like, oh, smoke. But Ben asked him to be in the band. He totally had no idea at all, to no riff, no lick or anything that he knew, and practiced for one day. The next day they did a show, and they did like 10 shows since then. They got
that's so
night.
Fucked in the head.
Yeah, that's exactly what I told him too. I was like, y'all are definitely fucked in the head, man. But I was with me playing guitar, I was just kind of giving him some like insight on how, you know, I would approach it or whatever. And he's actually making it his own, you know, just by like totally, you know, taking whatever he's getting. And he sounds like a bass player. And I think it's cool because he doesn't have no kind of guitar, you know, experience or anything like that.
That's definitely going to give him a unique voice that I think will only get better over time.
And you need to move your feet too, James. You got them lead boots on stage.
I'm known for moving around a lot.
Yeah, y'all were all moving up there at NOLA Mix. That was for sure.
Yeah,
I like that little place too. That's a good spot to have one of those relaxing shows or different shows. I'm gonna put it like that because that thing could have went 50 different. It did go 50 different ways, but that was a good place to have the show. Like more into like your writing process and everything. And I know that it just recently, you know, became a 3-piece and all that. Moving forward, what kind of you're going to keep it the same kind of I guess of your style as this remastered album? Is that kind of the direction that you're going to take it with or y'all going to take it with the 3-piece now that you'll have the drums and bass involved?
I'll say this. There will be like callbacks to that style, but we are going in a different direction for sure. I would say we're getting more into like electric Neil Young era, like Russ Never Sleeps kind of stuff. Or like for me, I'm trying to like, when people ask me like what my band sounds like, I like to say it's like if Neil Young tried out for Pavement. So
nice and firm.
Yeah. Like it's kind of slacker rock kind of stuff. Some of it, like there's going to be 1 or 2 songs that are like definitely on the agoraphobia really soft side. But for the most part, it's going to be like a little bit heavier. Some screaming on the record.
Well, you got my attention for sure with that. I like that kind of. Would that be like an alternative kind of sound that you would be going for, or is it just more like a heavy rock? Or
well, the way I write is mostly the same as how I wrote when I was just a single person. So like the way I like to think about it is like I make the skeletons, so I write all the lyrics, I write all the chords, and I kind of give it like a structure, and then I bring it to the guys and they put the meat on the bones. But I don't tell them what to play. I let them write their own things. I might have like, this is an idea I had. You can either do it or don't or whatever, you know, whatever you want to do with it. They are fantastic at writing their own parts. I don't really have to give them much instruction other than this part's loud and this part's not as loud. And then they just make it happen. So it's definitely collaborative, but I still write all the lyrics. And I mean, like, I'm really down to change stuff. Like, just because I bring it in doesn't mean it needs to come out the same way. Like, some songs we've kind of ripped apart and rearranged and stuff like that. But for the most part, I write in the same way that I wrote for Agoraphobia. I just let them have their own voice and do their own thing on it.
Well, Fallon, with you seeing that, how do you think the direction? Well, look, I'm trying to get over the camera. How do you see the direction? Have you heard some of their new stuff or their?
I love it. Yeah. I think Robin's found himself a very talented crew. They work together very well. So I'm excited to see once it's fully recorded and fleshed out how it's going to turn out. Yeah,
and I mean, we've been playing shows, so we've been testing the
y'all did just have a show, didn't y'all?
Yeah, we did 2. We did one at Saturn, and then like a couple weeks later we did another one at Siberia, and then we are currently in the works of getting another one set up.
I will say the songs as they are now, the energy they bring to them live is phenomenal.
Yeah, that's the one at Saturn Bar. That's the one I was really going to try to catch, but I just couldn't make it over there. That's a cool spot too.
Yeah, I was really stoked because that was our first like show as a real. We did like this one, I guess you could call it show. It was while we were still missing teeth. Jordan played bass and BJ played drums. BJ and Jordan had only met each other one time before we were on stage. Like they didn't even know each other at all. I basically like we did all Agoraphobia songs except for maybe 2, which I made demos for, and I just sent them to both of them, and I was like, I'm so sorry, but like y'all are just gonna have to learn this on your own time, and we're just gonna have to hope it works out. And it went. There was issues, but like for a band where two of the members had never even met each other prior than 24 hours previous, then I think it went pretty well, all things considered. You went to that, right?
I don't think so, actually. I think that was the one.
That was at Swamp Room
Yeah.
before it burned down.
Oh, Marshroom?
Oh, Marshroom.
Yeah, Marshroom.
Right before it burned down.
Yeah, no. I did not go to that one, actually.
That was like one of the.
That was like wasn't that like the last show?
Yeah,
before
I think it was either
Yeah,
the
I was
last show or like the second to last show, because like 2 days later it was like Marshroom burns down, and I was like, what?
Yeah, because I was there on a Friday night, I think, and then they had another show that had to been the one you're talking about, and then like I said, about two or 3 days
Yeah,
later,
we were
it was
either the
torched.
last or the second to last.
Holy
It was
Very
like-
smoke.
suspicious.
It was
Never
to
again.
hide the scene of the crime, right?
I gotta get off this Instagram, man. Like I'm like wanting to post shows and stuff now, but yeah. So this is what we do. We just I say we, but you see who we are. I like to get artists in here, bands, just people that's associated with the music and the music scene, and kind of pick their brain apart. And it sounds like you've been out there for a little while, and seeing what's going on with the music scene, and what do you think as of late? How does the music scene seem to you as far as the acceptance of bands playing at spots? Because and the reason why I'm asking is because I see that some venues only play certain music or anything like that. In your experience, I mean, does it seem like it's accepting that with your music and your band and bands? Does it seem accepting to you to get a show at the spots that y'all want to get? Or
Yeah, I've actually never been told no, other than like a schedule conflict. Like I played the Goat as Missing Teeth by myself, and I've opened for way heavier bands than I. But I luckily have a lot of friends in the music scene. I'm a very sociable person, I like to think. So like, I mean, like I was friends with Fucked in the Head and stuff like that. So I have friends. I mean, I used to be in Atomic Broad, which is a heavier punk band.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I think a lot of people are just really nice and really cool. And like, I've never really had an issue getting a show, other than I'm not going to be in town, or like I'm going to I think one show I had to say no to because I had a wedding to attend. You know what I mean? Like, I've never had an issue playing anywhere. I mean, I've shared stages with wildly different kinds of bands. So
yeah, that last one at Siberia I did, that was with Atomic Broad, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, I've been
And
following them
Cooper.
I've been following him for a while. Hell, I might have started following when you were around. How long have you been out of that band?
little under a year. I want to say I left in no, it might have been June of last year.
Seems about right.
Yeah, I think June of last year.
That's about when I started, hearing about them and stuff around the area. We follow like a lot.
I know,
of
it was a lot.
bands.
It was a lot.
I haven't had a chance to see them yet, and I have been wanting to check them out because I see them do a lot of shows actually pretty often.
Yeah.
Especially as a matter of fact, I've seen them do I haven't seen them, but I see they come across the like Saturn a few times. I know Santos. I've seen them do a few shows there.
Yeah,
a few times.
I've personally played with them at Santos.
Yeah.
like 2 or 3 times. Definitely 2, maybe 3.
How was those shows? It had good
Those
turnouts.
have really good turnouts.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's because foot traffic, because that's like right
there on
that's
Decatur.
right
Yeah,
there on Decatur. The first show was pretty good. I think that was our first show with me. I think that was our first show with Santos, and then we played another one opening for Dog Park. And that one was, I remember that one was packed. It was in the middle of summer. It was ridiculously hot.
gotta
Yeah.
love the South, right?
Yeah.
It's just smoldering.
I had to take my pants off mid-set.
Holy smokes!
Yeah, it was brutal.
He would have gladly done that anyway.
Don't tell them that.
It's hot. No, it's hot, man. It's wintertime.
It's December.
Just let me have this. So I mean, I really don't ask this question, but I do want to ask it today. What made you want to book and be on the podcast, man? It's like I'm taking these kind of questions to kind of get me my personal analytics, you know.
I mean, I love what you're doing. I mean, straight up. I mean, like you seem to be like going in full force and just like trying to I don't know. I see this as a two-way street. You know what I mean? You get guests on your podcast, and I get footage, and I get expo. You know, it's like it's great, and it's like it's fostering like a good local ecosystem for all of these bands to spring up and have a voice. And I don't know. I love what you're doing. You have a very professional setup, and you're giving people like a nice platform. And obviously, my other bandmates and my other band were on here, and I had heard of you, but I didn't really like look into it too much. And then obviously I checked my bandmates out, and I'm like, this is like an awesome setup. They look like they're having a ton of fun. I want to have fun too.
Appreciate it. Well, hopefully we can have some fun, man. I don't know what kind of.
I'm having fun so far.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate that. And I don't really like to ask too many questions about, you know, about the show, but here recently it's, a lot of more people has been showing interest, and kind of that's what I'm feeling like they see that it's a, you know, just a regular environment, no pressure or anything. A lot of times, like, especially when I first started doing this, it's like, you know, I was already nervous enough just trying to do it, you know, to see if it can work. And then I'd have the guest on, and they'd be like, yes, sure. Like,
Yeah.
hey, man, come on, let's. But I like hearing that feedback, because it actually makes me want to, you know, search a little further and offer a little more to the bands and musicians and artists alike, to give that exposure and to give that kind of sense of, you know, like a kind of like a community, or, you know, just we're all in it together, you know, as far as supporting each other as local scene and music wise and stuff, and, you know, also friends and stuff. Because I have met a lot of friends. I've met a lot of people that have became friends, you know, by doing this.
Me too. Most of my friends now are people I met in the scene.
Mm-hmm.
I find that, I don't know. It's just like I said, it is like this ecosystem. It's like you meet one person, and then, like, you know, most of us are in multiple bands, and a lot of us are in multiple bands of multiple genres. So it just keeps branching and going and going and going. It's funny. You asked me earlier about, like, do I have any trouble finding shows? A lot of my early shows were with punk and metal bands, because I came from Atomic Broad. I'm also into really heavy stuff. But I don't make it. I make softer music. And it's only recently that I started hanging out and playing shows with people who are actually from the singer-songwriter community. So it's weird. I was almost fostered by the heavier genres first before I got sent into the closer genres.
And you say that, you're right about you're in two bands for sure, right? I mean,
Right, yeah.
like, you don't got like 5 more in your pocket. You're not letting us in on it.
I mean, I in the past like 2 years, I've probably been in about 5 or 6 bands.
But you're right. A lot of musicians, I'll talk to them, and like I found out the other night, like 2 or 3, 2 of them singers actually, and they spin like drum and bass at raves or you know, techno parties and stuff. I'd have no clue about it, and just talking to people and networking and stuff. I like EDM. I like drum and bass a lot.
Yeah,
actually.
me too.
Yeah.
I mean, I really do love everything. Like,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
just bought Aphex Twin on vinyl.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yes, that's some oldies, like a little older group right there. You said Apex Twins.
Yeah. Saw Selected Ambient Works one I got on vinyl.
Yeah, so you're ahead then. definitely jamming it. But I do see a lot of different artists that are in solid bands, and then I'll see them in another band like 2 or 3 days later playing us. I'm like, hold on a second. And then this drummer, he never gets off of the drum set, but there's 3 bands that come in and play. I see
there's
that a lot.
not enough to go around.
Yeah.
We all have to share the drummers. I'm so shocked that Gonzo, I think he was in another band, but like we finally have a drummer that's like just our drummer. That we don't have to share him.
You're gonna have to keep him shackled in your basement.
Yeah.
You can't go nowhere.
No.
I guess those are coming dime a dozen, because the guy Phil from Raise the Death Toll, they're without a drummer at the moment. I'll send us another shout out. Any drummers out there, contact Brawler 504. He needs you.
It's rough out here. Riff, I'll start buying 808s.
Just the pad.
Yeah.
I actually, when I was a while back, I was talking about me and my buddy Dalton. We was talking about starting a band, and drummer is the hardest thing to find. So we was just gonna write all the drum parts and push the space bar and just play the show.
I mean, like, I'm a huge this is actually a guitar influence that you probably won't hear in the band now. I mean, maybe now that we're a 3-piece, but I'm a huge Steve Albini fan, and Big Black. They were a 3-piece, bass, 2 guitars, drum machine in the 80s. It's awesome.
A lot of those bands in the 80s had drum machines.
They used a Roland 606.
Mm-hmm. Oh, cool. I got a actual kit in there that I can do something like just like a 1-button kind of thing. But I used to write a lot of songs on that. It just was too bulky, so it's folded up in there. So.
Those things are awesome, though. The E-kits.
It's like I think it's a Crimson 2, I think, something like that. But it's a full ordeal. Especially
with like Ableton and stuff, like on a laptop. Like I used to have an electronic drum kit. I use Ableton. That's my main DAW, and you can just plug it in there, and you have like every drum sound you could ever want.
Well, that's what I do. I run it MIDI into that board, and I run it out of I go back and forth to like Superior Drummer or Easy Drummer. It's according to what kind of tone I'm going for. I might reamp both or kind of do one recording and then do another one to kind of make the bottom end a little different sounding or whatever. Right. Those are very versatile, especially when you're just want to write songs, and get some of that stuff out. And I always say, like, just because you writing songs, it doesn't mean you have to be in a band. I mean, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for Jordan, then the next it probably still would have even been called Missing Teeth, but the next Missing Teeth album probably would have been just me doing everything.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's good that the load will be lifted off of you a little bit more.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I want like I said earlier, I let them make their own parts. They're going to make different parts than I would make,
Yeah, add a little bit more, a little twist to it.
There's like 3 voices instead of 1 now,
Well, that's what I was looking at when I was checking out y'all Spotify, because it lists y'all's names and you as the composer and the lyricist, and I was like, hold on a second, man. There's 3. I was like, what are they doing? Like passing the guitar around? And I was like, they had to have some kind of change, within since that was put out and since that was released.
Yeah,
that's good to know too, because I'm interested in checking y'all out now. Like for sure, like I'm definitely gonna be checking y'all out.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I didn't just go by my name, because I never really wanted it to be a solo project. It's just like, but I had these songs and I wanted to record them, and I'm like, I'm the kind of person where I'm just like, well, I'm just gonna do it despite limitations.
Mm-hmm. It looks like you did a good job too, because I think it's a good album. Even though it's just a remaster, but you can tell you just put a lot of work into it, and you took your time and you really cared about the songs. Figure Skating, I love it. But all of those, right? You just started at the beginning, and it's a great mix of tracks.
Yeah, I was listening to a lot of Nick Drake at the time, and I was like, well, he can do it, which is an acoustic. Why can't I?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I like artists when they get tired of waiting. And you just want to do.
Definitely me.
You know what I mean? And we was talking about it earlier. I like to commit, and if I can't do it 100, I'll just go find something else I could do 100% of, and finding musicians and artists to kind of relate with that, and even talking with Brody and Matt the last time when they were on, they were so like thrilled about the music and what they were creating, and that's a fairly new band, New Salem. I just like the enthusiasm behind it, and to do it, because a lot of people they'll want to do it and they'll try somewhat, but it just you gotta commit if you really want to, if you have the love and passion for music, I guess, if you want to create music. So
I think Miles Davis said, like, I don't make music because I want to, I make it because I have to.
Yeah, it's a
feel.
feel.
How I feel. Like,
yeah,
it's like I don't know. There's nothing else I want to do.
To me, it feels like I have a song stored up inside me that I haven't written yet.
And I don't even know what it is until
exactly.
I sit down and then I figure it out. That happens for me a lot, where it's just like I get a lot of like my initial ideas. Like I'm just holding a guitar, maybe I'm watching TV, and then something will kind of catch my ear, and then I'll pause the TV and I'll just play with that idea. And then if I feel like I'm hitting a wall, I just record what I have, and then I come back to it later.
Yeah, we'll kind of go a little bit into that. So what is your writing process when you're coming up with songs, and how you compose it, and what you want to take away and put into what kind of process you go through?
Well, so I went to UNO for music studies, and I studied a lot of classical music. So my first thing, and obviously UNO is also kind of a jazz heavy school. So like I always start with the chords. So like if you listen to a lot of my stuff, it's very like chordally dense. There's a lot, like whether that's extensions or 7 chords, but usually there's a lot of chords. Like I when I bring songs now to practice, sometimes I have to make them chord sheets because there's just so many fucking chords. So usually I start with like a chord sequence that I find very appealing, and then what I do is I'll listen to it a lot, and I'll try to figure out if there's like a melody embedded in there, because sometimes there is, like if you just take chord tones. And then usually what I do is once I have like an idea for a melody in a good chord progression that I like, I'll bring it to my looper and I'll loop the chords, and then I'll just keep playing with melodies, and then I have to figure out if that's really a vocal melody or if it's a guitar melody. 9 times out of 10 it tends to be a vocal melody. So then I'll hum it, and then usually I have it instrumental, then the lyrics come last. But the thing is I'm okay with changing the melody once the lyrics are there, because like sometimes I might really like a line, so I'll adjust the melody to make the syllable count work. But for the most part, yeah, I just come up with chords, and then I come up with the melody, and then the words come. So I guess that's very straightforward in a way, which I enjoy.
Well, I was gonna say, are you gonna be used to playing with drums and bass, but you already have that experience under your belt with the other previous bands, so that's not it's gonna be nothing for it, you brought your guitar, and we have microphones. Do you feel like playing us a little ditty, man, or
Sure,
you want to give the people a little taste? I don't know if anybody's out there, but they're missing it. So yeah, we're gonna check this out. You can sing, tell the listeners what the song title is or whatever. Just do whatever you feel like, man.
All right, cool. This song is called Alice. It's going to be on our new record, which we have a title, but I'll play this song first, and then I'll give the title because I don't want to mess the title up because I might. It's long. Would you love me if I picked you up in a junker car that I got with my measly wage? I know you have a taste for the finer things that I can't afford, but I can make them with my hands. I will cook extravagant you.
That was really good. Let me adjust this camera. Hey. Yeah, almost wiped out trying to do that adjustment. So, what was that one, man? Was that the teaser you was talking about?
Yeah, that song is called Alice. It's going to be on our new record, which is called A Wink, a Nod. Oh, sorry. A wink, a nod, a sucker punch, a handshake, the warmest hug.
Nice. That was a really beautiful song, man.
I appreciate that.
And surprisingly enough, I made it like not blow our ears out. And no offense, Matt, but you murdered the microphone. Yeah. No. Man, I just love acoustic guitar. It's something about it, and I was saying it earlier, kind of like, you know, if you're going through some things in life, and you know, you just kind of sit back and listen to some of the basic stuff, and you know, the tones instead of having all that saturation on effects and compression and stuff. I don't know. It makes me feel the music a little more, like when I can hear it like that. Very good job. Very good job.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
What you didn't put it down? What, you locked and loaded for some more? No, I mean we can keep going, man. I love it, man.
I'll save one. We'll do another one.
Yeah, we'll check it out for the outro. I asked the other guys in New Salem. I'll ask you what are some of the local bands that's kind of like inspired you or kind of, you know, been there, you know, during your career or your songwriting from around the area or whatever?
Well, obviously, I'll start with Atomic Broad, because I was, you know, that's where I cut my teeth. If it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't be in the music scene at all today. It's kind of crazy how that worked out. I just answered a Craigslist ad for a guitarist, and here I am now. It's weird how that works out. But other than that, there's a good chunk. There's Elision. That was the band that I opened for that Jordan was in, where me and him met. So that's really important. Also, I'm friends with all the guys in Elision, like Ryan, their singer, who's also an author, Rob, their drummer, and Eric, their bassist. They're all just like really fantastic dudes, and they push me. They push me in a way to where, like, I don't know, when they perform, they give it like everything. So does Atomic Broad. So that's the kind of thing where it's like I just want to match that effort that gets put in. Try to think. There is a band from Loyola called The Kissing Disease. That they are phenomenal musicians. I'm not sure how long they've been around. I want to say like about the same time New Salem has been around. I've seen them with the guys in New Salem. We've gone out to their shows. They're really fantastic. Yeah, I mean, like, Mars and Other Planets, I played with them recently. I might be playing another show with them. That's in the works. We're talking about it. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Oopsie.
Oops.
Yeah.
You don't mind me. I'm just nerding out over here, man. Well, it seems like that you are pretty dug into the music scene in the NOLA area. Do you have any kind of ambitions to like kind of stretch, you know, go, you know, expand beyond that? Or, I mean, do you have any plans for any kind of shows to get out of the area, or?
I would love to. As of right now, no. We really don't have that many followers, because when we became a 3-piece, I was like, all right, I want to redo everything. It's not Missing Teeth anymore. Now it's Collections. I nuked the old Instagram and everything, and I started over. But I mean, we are getting followers. Most of my followers are other bands, so that's really cool. Even bands that I've never personally played with, so maybe that's like a hand extension. So I don't know. I feel like I'm making more connections, which I find on the old Instagram I had like a lot of followers that were just kind of like, they might have been bot accounts or whatever. But on this new one, there's only 80 followers. But when you look through it, it's like mostly local musicians and other bands and stuff. So I feel like the quality of the followers is higher. So I'm hoping that at some point we get offers to play out of state. But as of right now, we're really focusing on the records. But I'm on the record that we're making right now that we're going to start recording soon. We have all the songs, but it's just a matter of getting them all recorded. And with French Quarter French Quarter Fest and Jazz Fest. Both of my bandmates work in the Quarter, so they've been
they're pretty busy.
Yeah,
right
they've
now.
been kind of slammed, so we're kind of waiting for all that to subside over. I mean, if we get like an offer for a show in like Mississippi or Texas, somewhere nearby, I mean, I'm pretty sure we would just go. But I'm hoping at some point we'll do a larger tour. But as of right now, we're just
focusing on
where we are doing the record.
Excuse me. A lot of bands. I'll say a lot. Like probably as of the recent month, like I guess till about June 15th, I see a lot of bands like doing a lot of shows, and all of a sudden it's just like they're all going to start focusing on like recording new music, stuff like that. And I think having the arsenal ready to go when you do decide to go on a tour or do a multiple show run, I think that's real beneficial, because you can have a pool of songs to pick from. You don't have to just have the same set list, every show or whatever.
That's big for us, especially me. I'm very like, I don't want to do the same show twice. Like, even if we're just moving 2 songs and flipping them, like, I don't like playing the same set twice. We use a sampler on shows, and even that we try to change out. We did 2 shows kind of back to back right when we first started, like right when we finally finished as a band. So those 2 shows were very similar, but for the next one we have like totally new samples loaded up. I'm really into outsider music, so we like to sample a lot of like outsider artists. I find it like we always start the set with a sample, and then in the middle we do a sample while we drink water and tune our guitars or stuff. Gonzo might grab something to eat. And then at the end we do a sample to load out on, and these are we usually just try to find like ear grabbing weird songs or stuff, like little snippets, like a chorus here or there, while we when it's very important to me for a show that once we get on the stage and we hit that first sample, that there is no interruptions between songs until we're done.
Until you're done.
I don't do any banter in between. Most of the songs we have written transitions to where they don't even stop. They just go straight into the next one.
I like watching a performance like that, because it to me it continues the vibe. It continues the energy.
Yeah, that's very important.
I went and saw Blue Widow at the Switchyard a few weeks ago, and they was on the show before that, and listening to their music, I was like, okay, yeah, they got a good energy, good vibe, and boom, I saw them live, and it was the same exact energy. They're kind of the same way. They don't really. They're about business. They're about doing the show and trying to focus on the performance of the music, and with their stage presence. I like bands that continue it, even if it's a sample that's part of the if it's an interlude or something like that. It might be minutes long, as long as it's it's contributing to the vibe. But
we even have cues, like we've memorized when they stop, and like we have the song called Mi Gasa Su Gasa. It's about Gasa Gasa closing down. And yeah, I know, right?
I love that place. That was really sad news, man.
And it starts with a drum intro, and the reason that we did that specifically was because we're always going to do that after the mid-set sample. That way, Gonzo, our drummer, can just drum to the sample, and then the second that the sample music stops, he just goes into the drum beat for that. So that way we can tune up, take a sip or whatever, and like there's absolutely no interruption. Just go straight into it.
I think that keeps the audience's attention also. When you're performing like that, and especially if you already have them hooked. I think that's like a kind of like a buzzkill when too much is not being done at a performance, like too much talking, or I don't know. I'll lose interest quick.
Well, the thing is like when we play live, like it's not for us; it's for the audience. Like everything. Like even when I write songs. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, keep going.
Even when I write songs, I will write songs specifically like what is someone hearing the song? What is their like? I like to sometimes I like to troll and mess with the audience. Like we have a song that has a very awkward silence in the middle, and we always wait for the audience to start clapping to think it's over to blast them to the moon with the loudest part of the song.
Yeah, I just got a new follower via the live streams.
Oh, awesome.
Let's see. It's AB. I'm gonna say thanks guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep, you heard it. Went and saw Anaretta. Well, I think it was like a week or two ago, and I think it was their last show, or that was the rumor anyway. And they got the guy on the cello, the two violinists, the guitar player, a bass player, and a drummer, and they was the same kind of way. They didn't, bullshit around and hey, let me get a water or something. That was probably about it, but they kept that vibe with them violins going the whole time. I was totally blown away. I was not expecting that at all. And it's kind of heavy metal a little bit too, but I just like seeing performances where the people on stage are considerate of keeping the crowd into it, and and keeping doing it for the crowd and not trying to showboat and stuff like that.
Yeah, I feel like recording is for the artists, performing is for the audience.
Yes.
That's how I feel very strongly. Yeah, and I mean, obviously recording's for the audience too, but like you got to make music that you like, so do that, but then you got to perform for the other people. Like I'm I like, if I can, I like to jump off the stage. Like there, during our last New Salem set, I was upside down for a while, and it's like, yeah, I might have messed up my bass part a little bit, but they're not listening. They're not like, oh, he's upside down and he messed up hitting. He didn't hit the.
How dare him?
He messed the triad run up. What the hell? Like, no, I'm upside down.
The theory
dude.
comes out all of a sudden. I can't believe he did that. But the crowd was into it, and that's who came to see the show.
That's how I see it. And like, if we can, I mean, we can't always because it's not possible. But we would like to play as many. I was talking about this with Jordan, but we don't even like charging at the door. We wish every show could be free. We understand why it can't be free, but like that was something that's hopefully going to be more in the future. Is like that NOLA Mix show. I want to play as many weird places as possible. Record stores. I mean, I'll play a Subway if they let me. You ever seen the Denny's Grand Slam?
Yes.
I'll do the Denny's Grand Slam, dude. Like, I don't want to charge people. I just want to have, we can sell shirts. We can sell, if we really want money, I would rather give something. I don't know.
I think if you and we was talking about this Wednesday when we was over in West talking with Phil, all ages shows, right?
Oh, that is.
And Phil stands behind it. Steve was he's one of our friends in the scene. I always see him at shows, so of course seeing him constantly, you become friends or whatever. But that was kind of like the topic for a few is making it possible for the underage crowd or the all ages crowd come in there and check out music. And that day at NOLA Mix, that was pretty much the consensus, and I think all of those people that attended was very supportive of Savas, of Brax, of y'all, Low Hanging Fruit, and they was just there it was something different for them to do, and it was enjoyable too.
I'm so glad you brought that up because that's something I've been ranting and raving about forever. So when and they might have relocated, I don't want to say they're definitively closed because I'm actually not sure, but when the Neutral Ground closed that location they were the only all ages venue at that time that like actually, I mean, there might have been other ones, but I hadn't heard of them. They were like the most popular one. And when I played with Atomic Broad there, every time we would play with a band that was younger than us, one in particular was All Hail Mary, R.I.P. I don't think they're a band anymore, but they were all like 16-year-olds, and they were playing like hardcore punk in the style of like Dead Kennedys, and it was amazing. And they brought an insane crowd. Like, you think NOLA Mix was packed like double that. That's what they brought, and they were all like teenagers from their high school, all there screaming their names and being supportive. And like, it wasn't like, oh, they were just there for Hail Mary. Like, they went for Hail Mary, but they gave everyone their undivided attention. Kids love shows. Like, most music fans that are older than, like, let's say 25, like, they might go to local shows, but not like they used to, and they have lives and they have work, and like going to a local show is just like a thing that they might do once, twice a month. But kids, they're dying for something to do.
They yeah, exactly. And to me, and that's what we was talking about, that keeps a lot of trouble away from their lives. That gives them a little outlet, and it's good to, you're at the show, all ages event, the people, they got their phones out and their Instagram and stuff. That's cool, but it to me, too stagnant of being on the internet too often. You know, go out and check it, and let the kids do something different. You know, and being able to go to live performance, especially, I mean, you have to go to like a big show to reach an all ages kind of thing. Like, you know, nothing like a venue, quote unquote, like Siberia. That's not going to happen. You know, we actually pitched it. Hopefully they heard it, but like once a month at Siberia, do all ages show. It's just to see what it does. You know, you can have a bracelet that says under 21. You know, so it's that easy. You know. My buddy Link Cannon, he's goes by Massacre Worm on Instagram. He's like my mosh buddy, right? And he's like 19, like 6'3", big old linebacker guy,
and
right?
He probably loves every millisecond he gets to go.
Loves every time that there's something that he can go to and check out music and stuff. Because I think like Chelsea's, like Baton Rouge has a few different all ages kind of things too.
I'm not sure. Baton Rouge is definitely something I've been talking with the guys. Like I honestly have never been to a show in Baton Rouge, so I would like to play some. So I've been talking about it with the guys, and they keep saying after Jazz Fest. Totally understand. But after that, we're gonna try to do some Lafayette and Baton Rouge.
You got to check out that band Blue Widow. They're out of Baton Rouge, and they're right up y'all's alley, man. And they kick ass too. And they got, you know, some connections in Baton Rouge, and they've been doing a few shows here lately. But I really think that's a positive thing, and not only, you know, a lot of people kind of use that as to their advantage to kind of get all of the you know, because they know it's going to be a crowd most of the times with a, you know, all ages show. But I just like the idea that it just gives another part of the community or the scene, you know, a chance to see live music, you know,
because it might inspire some of those kids to pick up guitars and do their own thing, and that's what keep it going.
Yes, and that's what we was talking about. You never know what can come out of that, especially if it's a very positive vibe, you know, in those scenes. Hell, that might be the next president that gets inspired or something out there. You never know about that. You know?
I love playing Siberia. I think it's a fantastic venue, but it was such a bummer when we played and it was 21 plus, because I work at Starbucks. A lot of my friends, coworkers, they would love to go to my shows, and most of them are like 19 to 20. Mm-hmm. And like I had to tell all of my coworkers who were dying to go to the show, I'm sorry, you can't go in.
Well, I know they have the Fred Hampton Free Store over there on St. Claude. That's the dollar spot that Belly Up. I
have heard about the dollar spot. I need to check that out.
They do a lot of DIY and all ages shows. You know, that's one avenue to take. And they be having a lot of good shows there, and a lot of good turnout, you know, for people to come support though. Because I mean, you're right. There's not anything.
Kids go to shows.
Of course they do.
They just do.
And it gives them something to do instead of going to the movies or going to the arcade. I mean, I'm talking like I'm super old. I mean, I'm pretty old, but I just find it's more positive to let, you know, that kind of thing happen, and I'm glad you kind of, you know, see it like that too, because that's a group that you can aim to hook, I guess, you know, but it also kind of like gives them just another avenue to take when it comes to living life, you know.
Yeah, and if you're talking to Siberia, I love playing at y'all's place. I think y'all have a fantastic venue. Please let all ages, or at least 18 plus.
Yeah, 18 plus.
Can we push it a little bit? You don't have a casino in there. I know you don't. You can get away with 18 plus.
I like that. There's no casino in there, guys. Come on, Lindsay. But I went to the there was a couple 420 shows I was mentioning earlier.
There was a lot going on that day.
Yeah,
I was working.
I posted 22 of them in the city. I think one of them was in Lumberton, so that would be like 23, and that was, you know, that's Lumberton, Mississippi. But all the rest of them was in New Orleans, and like we went to I went to two of them. I went to the Parasite skate park, and that was an all ages event.
Yeah, I think Parasite's doing some cool stuff.
Dude, it was the way Sean Doria and company and Garguts, and because it was called Guts Fest is what it was. Garguts' release party is what it was.
Right.
And man, they had that thing organized to a T. I mean, they had two different stages. This band would be playing while this one's doing their check and tuning and getting set up and everything. Boom, this is done. They were already ready, started playing, and I think it was like 12 or 13 acts that day. And
I've never personally been to Parasite, but every time I see a clip from there, I'm like, man, I gotta go.
well, they did something different this time. They usually have it like where it's right there at the it's like right there at the end of the street. It's like a little turn, and they got like a little section that people usually set up. But they had it set up this time to where it was like one end of the skate park and then the other end of the skate park. So they didn't even. I'm glad they didn't, because the fucking sun was beaming that day in that spot. But it was all ages event, and it was a blowout. And there was so many cool vibes. Everybody was enjoying themselves. It was mixed music. We had I call it noise, but it's like shoegaze kind of, like with experimental. I don't say noise, but it's like noise music to me. Like,
I mean, I love noise rock. And
noise rock.
Like when you say that to me, I'm just like, yeah, that sounds.
Yeah,
good.
it's not a negative thing. That's the only way I can describe it. Because I mean, I've heard shoegaze bands before that doesn't sound like these bands. But then again, I heard, some of these noisy bands or whatever. Like for instance, Slow Hole. They're like one of my favorite local bands. And I talk, and he's gonna kill me when I see him next, but I can't think of the drummer's name. I know it's a complicated name, sir, but he literally told me, he's like, "Hey, wear earplugs. We're loud and noisy as hell." I was like, "Okay," so I tried it, dude. Unbelievable. Like all that sound that they have, saturated that they're making their music, and I just put a little earplugs in, and I can hear each instrument, and I was like, and that's when I was like, oh yeah, these are definitely one of my favorite bands.
Yeah, Birdie brings a giant earplug thing to all of the Salem shows, and we hand them out to people.
Yeah, I think that was the only thing at that show that was that I wasn't used to was the volume. Like it could have been jacked up like a few more decibels.
I mean, we wanted to, but
yeah, of course. I mean, like
it was actually mostly because of that PA we had just was not very powerful. Like if we were to be as loud as we wanted to do, you wouldn't be able to hear Matt at all.
Oh,
and I love you, Matt. That's saying something. If we can't hear you, that's
really that. Yeah, and those guys, when I interviewed them too, man, they caught me right at a moment where I was just getting battered, and they made my fucking day. You know what I'm saying? And much love to you guys too, man. They made me feel really, really good, like I was at their house that, but they were here, man. But real good guys, man. Yeah, we got a few more, I guess, questions. I see. I asked that. Okay, here we go. What piece of equipment is a must-have at your shows and recording, inspiration? I mean, what do you got to have to make it happen?
All right, I want us to both answer this. I'll go first. What do you think about your answer? Because you have an interesting perspective as an artist, right?
For my equipment? Or?
Yeah. So you think about your answer.
Okay.
So for me, it's my AC30 for collections. It's like as long as I have my amp, I'm cool. I am a huge pedal nerd. But for a long time, I didn't actually play with many pedals because I didn't have like a reliable power source. It was like usually something I did at home. So I got really good at figuring out how the straight into the amp thing works. So I feel like I can do pretty much, because like AC30 has a tremolo built in. So it's like, I don't know, it's got reverb, it's got tremolo, it gets crunchy. Yeah, it's everything I could want.
I like those amps. They got that. Love it. Yeah, they got that tone that I was telling you about. It's not oversaturated, like that one is way oversaturated. Like that one I just break out just so I don't have to lug one of these out. And
I used to have one of those, but I blew it up.
It was that was free actually. I got it from like a rewards system at work.
Oh really?
Yeah, and
that's awesome.
And I was like, holy shit, they got amps on this website.
Yeah,
I was like, oh yeah. That has been very close to being blown up because I was trying to see what it could take, but
is that a Spider 4?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. R.I.P. my Spider 4.
So your amp is what does it for you.
Yeah.
I can relate with the pedals because I mean, like I said, there is only one or two effects that barely gets used on that. Mostly it's just the tuner and that EQ up there.
Yeah, it's like I love the pedals, but like if I forget it, that's okay. I can just go straight
into the amp.
I can just go straight in.
All right, Ms. Fallon, what do you got?
All right, for me, honestly, it would be my iPad. I do have a traditional art background, so it's a lot of painting, a lot of graphite drawings, things like that, charcoal. But with my iPad, when I don't have the studio space, because that is an issue, not having the space to work or really paint, I can just grab that. Procreate was like $10, my drawing program, bring it back and forth wherever I go, I think pretty much all of the artwork I've made for you currently has been done on my iPad.
She has finished the album art for the new album coming up, and it's gorgeous to say the least. So that came out of an iPad, same iPad that the other one came out of.
Do you get inspired during hearing the music and stuff, and you just have to grab it, just like it's?
There's absolutely nights where like Robin will just come to me with an idea, or we'll just hanging out and we're brainstorming that day, and I'll go home and I'll just work for like 7-8 hours straight, not realizing it, just on whatever project we're deciding. Like right now, not gonna say too much about it, but we're developing some trading cards that we're hoping to bring some shows and hand out at the entrance. So yeah, I'll
say this: they are gonna be like heavily inspired by like the old like Garbage Pail Kids. Like we are actually going to do packs. Like there's going to be multiple, and we're going to hand them out.
Yeah, it's going to be
hopefully
a slow
people
start,
trade. Yeah, it's going to take a while, but
yeah,
you're going to make it to where the you collect them all. You get the picture on the back.
Yeah, like hopefully.
Ooh, I forgot they did that.
Yeah, that like when I remember when I was a kid when they first came out is we were like, oh man, we would stick them on because they were stickers. You know what I mean? And that's when we bought them. That's what they were for, is to stick them on stuff. But as we started getting a little bit older, they had like the second edition and stuff. He's like, hold on, man, let's start saving some of these. And like, you could still get some of the first editions and all that. But
I forgot they did that. Did you know about that?
No, I didn't.
So like, the backs of a lot of Garbage Pail Kids would have like a bit of a picture, like a puzzle,
and you put them all together.
And you put them all together. And it would be like one of them. It would be just another Garbage Pail Kid, but it'd be like a giant one.
It was like
they're like this big.
You put them all like kind of like a like a collage kind of thing. Yep,
like a puzzle.
Exactly. Yeah, you ought to check. You ought to try to do that.
Thank you so much for reminding me of that. R.I.P. Fallon's free time.
Well, we're still in the first developing stages of the cards. I have the first couple of cards we're working on.
Yeah,
so.
they're very cool.
Yeah, maybe that'll.
I was hoping you bring it up because I didn't want to like put you on blast and be like, we have trading cards that we're working
Hey guys, just so you know.
Yeah, I sent her demos of songs.
Yeah. And I'll just kind of go from there and get an idea or a vibe or whatever and.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I was alluding to. Is like, you could just kick back and that's cool. I like getting inspired like that. You know, especially when you're a part of a team and you're making things happen, and you can actually filter that into inspiration to create something specifically for the band or whatever whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
It kind of like. I guess that happens when musicians are like collaborating on songs and stuff. Because sometimes when I hear collaborations, either the vocalist, if it's a collaborate, or the whatever, they'll write the song to whatever that artist's band is. That and I don't know. I've tried to do that before, and it always seems to not work out.
I always tell people Fallon's a member of the band.
Of course,
she just doesn't play an instrument, but she's part of the voice and the image and the everything of the band.
Well, everybody has a little chunk of personality that's going to shine through what they're working on no matter what.
And you say that, and I know I brought up Blue Widow before, but when I was interviewing them, look, they got a guy that does the visual effects, like with the lasers and the light show.
Yeah.
They got the guy that does the Instagram and all that stuff, and the merch. All of that is like when they come up, it's the band and it's the whole team. I mean, you got your guy that's handling the visuals and on such a small, I don't want to say such a small scale, but on a smaller scale than like this big, famous, I guess performer or anything like that. Because obviously they have that kind of stuff too, but I don't think they're part of the team. I think they're part of the record label or whatever their show is, but. When I saw them at Switchyard, when I saw Blue Widow live, they'd mentioned it on the podcast, but when I got there, I was like, holy shit, man, they really do have all right, this is your thing, and this is your thing, and the band does their thing, and it's a pretty well-oiled machine, man. And I think having those members, come along for a ride, I think it relieves a lot of pressure off of the band. Per se,
yeah, for sure.
To be able to focus on the music,
I don't have to worry about where the next album cover is coming from.
Well, I think it's also a different perspective that not a whole lot of people think about is the visual side of everything, because it's a bunch of different things. Like, one, it's marketing, right? You have some merch, you have a T-shirt that you're wearing to other shows. People see that and then they get curious about it. But it also almost fosters like a sense of community when you're like, you have a specific art style that people are intrigued by or interested by.
Yeah,
that
she
they
also
want to
did
search
the
out.
you also did the logo for New Salem.
Yeah.
thing.
Oh, really?
I did,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
So yeah.
Hey, I have team members that travel with me, and we all have our respected parts and I guess responsibilities of whatever we whatever random shit we choose to do that day. But I like that. I like how I don't know. I just like how it involves everybody and it shows. You don't have to worry about the artwork.
No.
You just have to say it looks great, or or approve it, or let her do whatever she feels like, and
Yeah.
I just like it not being restrictive to, especially when I see a group of people trying to make it work. It just opens a lot of stuff up.
It's really important now more than ever to get your marketing and your visuals down, because like back in the day, like, yeah, you would just hope you get picked up by a record label and they do everything. Well, today, like, even record labels, even the big ones, expect artists to do most of the stuff
Of
they
course.
used to do.
A lot of the stuff, like
They tell you
booking and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Usually
they make the bands do everything. It's kind of insane. Like, even people like I could be misremembering who said this, but I want to say it was Doja Cat. Even she has issues where her label says, "All right, you have to make these TikToks. We're not going to tell you what to do. Just do it." It's like, isn't that your job?
Yeah.
So it's like, let's just take that out of the equation, and from the get-go, let's just have all those bases covered.
Well, it kind of gets back into you recording and you're doing your own thing. Like that cuts out a lot of stuff that you don't have to deal with. And especially a lot of people. And you're saying signing a record label, to me that's so constrictive. You really limited when it comes. Now, if you sign this magic deal that where you're getting paid to do less, I guess that makes sense. But that's not the case often.
No,
And I feel as though I think signing a record deal is overrated to some extent.
Especially now.
Yeah.
Now more than ever.
Because it just seems like you're not gonna make the money, like if that's your intention that you think you are, but you are gonna be working hard as hell to try to make it happen.
Yeah, I think there's the least return in history and the most work in history for a musician. Honestly, it's kind of insane.
Yeah. And like we were saying earlier with social media and stuff, that stuff can be painstaking. And I know like the stuff that I do, I don't know if it's a lot or anything, but at some point I'm like, okay, I know I done did enough.
I would say you're pretty active. I would say like, I'm always looking, I'm like, man, he's just on the grind.
That to me is the hardest thing, is just finding the motivation to post and work on social media.
But when I have shiny new drawings, then I'm like, ooh, that
I would be the same way. Like, oh, can't wait to show everybody.
Yeah, I text everyone I know. Like, here's the new album art. Don't tell anybody, but tell everybody.
Oh my goodness gracious! Well, I'm thinking this is really good. I'm glad that y'all was able to come out. We went through the equipment. Is there any kind of advice that you would give like newer artists, up or coming younger artists, even all ages kind of setting, like people that want to get out and try to get their music out or their artwork out or anything? Would you give them any advice? Starting like that.
It's okay to fuck up and try to go DIY as much as possible, because like I said earlier, like I think a lot of people now are expecting you to do, like I said, like even if you get signed to a label, I feel like you still have to do a lot of the stuff. So just learn how to do as much as you can, and don't be discouraged if it doesn't come out the way you want. Just keep pushing through it. That's how I learned to record. I just kept recording until I just kept playing with it until I kind of got a understanding of it. Also, YouTube is free and amazing, and please use
and there's
YouTube.
A lot of stuff on there.
There's so much on there. Like, please use YouTube.
What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think it's one of those things, like, you get out there and also just meeting people. I think there's a big community out there that once you form like your niche little groups and everything, you meet a lot of talented people in a lot of different areas that, we were mentioning the team earlier. you kind of have a backbone to help you work through.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and there is a lot of talent out there.
Yeah.
And me and my buddy James, the bassist for Fifth, we was talking the same kind of thing today about just like if a lot of bands want to stay relevant and a lot of artists want to stay relevant, but you hardly ever see them relevant in this, getting out there, networking, talking, chatting. You don't have to do it every day, but if you plan on doing something in that scene as especially, you kind of got to get out there and find out who's out there and kind of get used to seeing those faces and finding talent and just finding a common ground with everybody, I think. But yeah, really good work. I had to ask you that question about, I saw the picture of all three of y'all, but there was, I was like, hold on, man. I was like, are they just passing it, like sharing it or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm like admittingly not the best at posting, but I think my strong suit is networking. Like I'm always talking to, I'm always DMing 5 bands or singers or whatever. And another thing, one more piece of advice I give: if you want people to go to your shows, go to other people's shows. Go to local shows.
Support.
Because a lot of people
heard.
A lot of people they're like, why does no one go to my show? And it's like, well, do you go to shows and meet people who actually like going to local shows?
That is a huge part, especially nowadays, because it takes so much hard work to get there in the first place. And if you're not out there supporting the people that you want to support you, then chances are they're probably not going to come support you, and unless you're just like one of those famous all of a sudden bands and those people want to be a part of it.
I can't tell you how many shows I've played both solo and with collections where entire other local bands have showed up. Like all of the members from another local band have showed up because I go to all their shows. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And
that's love.
They bring their friends, say they have a 5-piece and they all bring 2 people.
Even with bands too that you're not super familiar with, you go to a couple shows and you start recognizing faces.
Well,
those
that's what
faces recognize you too.
Matt and Brody was talking about that. They just went out and did some shows one night, and I was
we all do that. Yeah. We all go to local shows.
That's cool.
Like that band I shouted out, Kissing Disease. We go to most of their shows if we can be there.
And that's just giving back and showing support, and in turn, those bands should, I ain't gonna say should, but that's how it should be.
That's how it is a lot.
Yeah, and
people care if you go to their show. It means something.
And if you don't, that's exactly what you're gonna get in return. Right. I see a lot of that in different scenes. I mean, I do check out a lot of different cities, scene wise, to try to see. I'm doing research, so if everybody wants to know, if they see me in Birmingham or Tampa or Little Rock or I'm actually doing research for our local scene. Yeah. That way, so those bands can go check out that scene and, and already have kind of like a leg up in what to expect.
It's also great to see what other people are doing.
Exactly.
Everybody's got some good ideas.
And all the places I've been, I mean, I'm probably going to get just stabbed for this, but bar none, NOLA scene, even the North Shore, used to have a pretty poppin' scene. Metairie is okay, but the consensus, the New Orleans area, greater area music scene, to me is the best.
Yeah, I mean, we're technically a Metairie band. We all live in Metairie, but like I don't play any shows in Metairie. We all go to New Orleans,
I just think the camaraderie and the community, if they had the all ages thing on a constant thing, it would be way different than what it is now.
One time I will mention this very short story about the all ages thing because I really am huge on the all ages thing, and I've been this way for a while, but I talk about it with Skylar from Atomic Broad all the time, and we're always like complaining because we used to both be in that band, and we both realize our best turnouts were at all ages shows. So one time Skylar and I organized we both did a solo set, and we rented out a dance studio in Uptown, and people showed up.
Of course.
It was a dance studio.
All you got to do is get the word out, and people wants to show up. If they have nothing else to do, especially with the all ages thing, man, I'm telling you, a lot of those younger people are just biting, chomping at the bit to go do something different than the norm, and the norm nowadays is basically just internet.
Yeah,
It's
people are
hard.
bored, man.
Yeah,
and give them
exactly.
something to go do.
Yeah, it's hard for kids out there when the only places you can go are bars.
Mhm.
So-
And to me, I don't drink, so it's like I go to a
I don't
show.
either.
Yeah,
I'm
I go,
straight
Yeah.
edge, so
I go to a show, and it's like, why can't the younger crowd be in here? I mean, I'm not buying any beers from y'all, so.
Yeah.
I drink the hell out of some sodas though, but I
bring LaCroix everywhere I go.
dude, I tried some what is that called, man? It's death water or death.
Liquid Death.
Oh,
I weirdly don't. I love spicy water, right? I love carbonated water. I don't get Liquid Death. I don't like it. It tastes weird.
I don't like my flat water out of cans. I don't like any of my water out of cans, actually.
LaCroix fucks. Dude.
It was and I'm not even trying to rib on the brand, but that shit sucked.
Say goodbye to your sponsorship.
Yeah. No, I'm trying to get on with Starry. That's what I'm trying to get.
Okay, all right.
But I don't know why I brought that up. Oh, because I don't drink. But I tried one of those thinking I was, the can's like this long. I was like, oh shit, and it was mango flavored, and there's nothing. It tasted like dirt.
I'm a huge Topo Chico guy.
A lot of places, the only water you'll find now too is Liquid Death.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
Because they're $5 a can. That's what's up with it, man. Shit. I might as well get a beer. You know what I mean? But, well, I just got one more question. That's just I guess it's two more. I'll ask the pizza topping question to both y'all. What's y'all's favorite?
I love mushrooms.
That's a first. Okay.
I love mushrooms. I just love mushrooms in general. So like, most people are like, okay, most people default to pepperoni. So I'm just like, oh, I see what I did there. Yeah.
Ditto. I dittoed it.
Yeah. Pepperoni.
Pepperoni. Boring.
It honestly depends on the place. I like pepperoni for my most basics, but I will fuck up a spinach and artichoke pizza
Oh yeah.
any day.
Good.
Yeah, I'm a pepperoni. I like spinach. As long as it doesn't have shrimp or anchovies or pineapples.
Yeah, I don't like shrimp. It's like the only seafood I don't like.
I'm seafood. No, I don't like seafood at all.
Uh-oh.
You're in the wrong place for that.
I know. It's like, were you born there, man? Like, yeah, I moved from there. That's what it got out of it. But well, that's cool. It's kind of simplistic. I had to I think Brawler, he had this fucking weird whole bunch of stuff going on.
Chocolate sauce.
Oh my god, it's like a cake, man. But and one more thing, how can the listeners, listen to whatever y'all have out, and where can they reach out on social media?
Well, we are on all streaming platforms. Our name is not taken by another artist, but it's almost taken by other artists, like The Collections. We are just Collections. The easiest way to find us is to on a streaming service type in Agoraphobia Collections. That will show up usually, or if you want, Figure Skating shows up pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody else. There's not really another song called that, I don't think. Anyway, on Instagram we are Collections Band _. So, which there's also links from our Instagram to get you to anything else. The Agoraphobia remaster came out a month-ish ago, so go listen if you haven't. If you want to hear BJ's fridge buzz for like 30 minutes.
And we'll be posting some links too, so people can go check all that out. Well, Robin, Fallon, we really appreciate y'all coming out and hanging out with me.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome, and I really had a blast. You did say something about playing something else, and I'm really excited to hear it. Well, guys, this has been Brian with Local Riffs, Season 2, Episode 10. We're going to close it out by listening to Robin's sweet sounds.
This song's a little bit on the heavier side. I'm not going to play it heavy, but when you see us live, this one is one of our heavier ones. It's called Buyer's Market. Bills are piling up. Dixon suits walk in, declare this place condemned. The house my father built Family says they give up. Says that they've had enough. Says I don't want their help, but don't remember asking. I'll show them all how to kill a few birds with a stone. I told them once, I'll tell them again, this is my home. I will find a place that will hold my bones. The garden I spent my whole life on sound. I do not have patience for you. You never had patience for me. I do not have patience for you. You never had patience for me. Sorry for your loss, but it had to be done. I never had patience. My fucking friends never had patience. My fucking kids never had patience. The fucking feds never had patience. I do not have patience. 'Cause no one showed me patience. No one showed me patience. No, no one showed me love. No one showed me patience or showed me love.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it. That is it, man. Holy cow. Can't stop smiling.
Thank you again. That was so much fun.